Upcoming events from the Johnson County Library. On July 9th, teens in 7th through 12th grade can participate in the Constellation String Art Free program. Attendees will need to pre-register for this event, which will take place from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. July 9th at the library. And the Johnson County Public Library is hosting historic walking tours. Those interested can contact the library to be put on a waiting list and will be notified when there are enough participants to schedule a tour. For more information or to register for these events, contact the Johnson County Public Library at 606-789-4355.
You ready? Good afternoon, everybody. We'll call this meeting of the Paintsville Utilities Commission to order. Take roll. Mitch.
Here.
LB.
Here.
Tricia.
Here.
Tim. Here. We do have a quorum. Item number 2, review and approval of minutes.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of June 3, 2019, and the special call meeting of June 25, 2019.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 3, review and approval of the operating report. Anything, Director Bob?
Pretty ordinary. Make a motion that we approve the operating report.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 4, consideration of construction pay request, change orders.
What's that?
We have 3 invoices for approval. Goggins Construction invoice number 3, $38,198.06, funded by Paintsville Utilities.
Make a motion that we pay the invoice number 3 from Goggins Construction.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thomas Environmental invoice number 20 in the amount of $25,689.90, funded by Rural Development.
Motion to pay Thomas Environmental $25,689.90 through Rural Development.
I'll second.
We have a motion, second. All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it.
Cook Engineering invoice 23 in the amount of $1,141.89, funded by Rural Development.
I'll make a motion.
There's a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 5, review and approval of monthly invoices. 5A, legal services.
I'll make a motion.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. 5D, other operating invoices. Bob?
Once again, they're ordinary invoices. Make a motion that we pay the other operating invoices.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 6, departmental reports.
Anything to add?
What happened to the NOV, the notice of violation? Ineffective.
That was from, the new one here, January 2019. That's from the Honey Branch plant. The biggest issue, I believe, was E. coli. Is that where we have trouble with the volatile line?
No, that was actually the temperatures and stuff.
Temperature.
The acid, I don't know if we was having the issue with pipe freezing off where it went down in, feed into the water or what.
We had an acid feed problem.
Yeah, wasn't actual acid itself, but just getting into the channel.
And that ammonia nitrogen problem.
It also was,
That's something you get just about every year in
Yep.
cold weather, I think.
yeah,
We don't have any type of fire or anything like that. We just had to remedy it. Yeah, the way that they do that, your violations add up. They say if they put a point total on them, when you get so many points, you get called in for enforcement.
But it's been corrected at this time.
We've been good reading since, haven't we?
Yeah.
Okay. Item number 7, old business. 7A, downtown I&I project. Dewey.
We're just about wrapping it up. Contract 1, the Akins, talked to Tim Akins last week. We didn't really do anything on contract 1 last month, or since the previous meeting. But we got a few items we're going to address and try to close out the contract. We got 4 laterals up in Happy Hollow to handle. There's a little issue at Triple Crown subdivision. There's a sinkhole on 8th Street, I think it is, 8th Street. For Subway, we reran that line, and the last manhole that we put in, tying into the old line, past that into the existing manhole, there's a sinkhole. So we got to dig that out. There's a sinkhole over in the Woodland Estates that'll have to be addressed.
The one on 8th Street, I'm not sure actually it is our issue, but we were there and we'll have to check it out.
So and there's some, to finalize the contract, there's some equipment that we're going to buy to try to utilize all the money. So that, he's supposed to be up here this week and try to schedule. He said it'll take him 1, maybe 2 weeks at the most to finish it, so by the next meeting we'll be done with that. Contract 2 really is just cleanup, and then to get the subcontractor to pressure test the bore that they put under the river and the railroad. Our contractor gave the subcontractor a deadline to get it done, and if he doesn't do that, Thomas is going to come in and do it. He gave it to the 15th, and he doesn't. He's going to come in and finish it out himself. And that should finish that contract. We'll have to, our rural development representatives had his knee replaced, so he missed the last meeting, had a substitute. He'll probably want to do the final drive-through. He'll get a hold of Frankfurt. They may want to come up and drive around, but everything's looking pretty good. Any other questions?
While you've got the floor,
A1.
there's a sub-item on that agenda item about the discussion of the sewer sanction, if you'd like to say anything about that.
Oh, I think that was you.
I think you get to talk about that one if you like.
That's all right. I guess you know the sewer sanction was lifted.
Did you know that, Mitch?
I did know that. Very well played.
But it was really Bob and Mike, Akins, and then we had 2 really good contractors, honestly. We got a lot of work done for the money that with Akins and Thomas, and then basically we took information with actually when Rick was here, we developed a spreadsheet to actually measure the outflow at the contact through the weirs, and then Mike and Bob noticed that there was a difference in the reading from the meter to the chart itself. So what we did is went back, got all of 18, all the way through 19, and we read every meter for every day and did an average for it, and made we had 2 or 3 presentations. We ended up we did an average for each day and compared that to the meter report, which was usually substantially different. And then we had a precipitation for every day, and so we were trying to match precipitation with with outflow. And then Mike, once he got over there, they went out and measured, which was good. Good. They went out at 8, 10, 12, 2, and 4. And so we had the actual outfall measurements that we compared to our average. So we were proving the actual calculated outfall to the average we was picking off the chart, and to verify that. And like I said, we compared it to, we actually drew graphs. We had a monthly chart showing all that, but then we actually drew graphs for every month, and had the events when, like the creek crossing behind the library, when that event happened. Then we also plotted the power consumption, and you could actually see when there's dramatic drops. So I think they were pretty well pleased.
Several people involved in that, obviously Mike noticing what was going on with the chart and what we did, but MoCook went just above and beyond to get this done. One of the big things.
That's it.
Thanks.
It's a biggie.
Item number 7B, the flow monitoring project.
Kelly, you going to speak to that?
I can.
Yeah. And at the last minute, we actually got his staff involved in the other thing too.
Yeah, that's right.
I wasn't in office, but I think we were able to help them make some last minute changes to the report. We had on Goggins Construction on replacement of flow meters at the wastewater plant. We did a site visit today, and we had a progress meeting this afternoon. Their scheduled final completion date is July the 18th. They're probably going to exceed that a little bit. However, the good news is they told us today that as of this Wednesday, July the 3rd, they would have the meters up and running. So what that means is they will be able to manually see accurate readings on what's happening on the influent and effluent. The SCADA, which is telemetry that controls, that is equipment delivery time. So as soon as that comes in, they'll get that installed. They're saying should be mid to late July. And so our objective is to have at the next meeting a final pay request process to be complete. They've got some cleanup to do, but should be by Wednesday. The project should be operating for its intended purpose. Pal addition, let me go ahead with the others, Bob, or is that another item?
7C, other ongoing projects. Yeah.
Okay. Pal addition, not much change from the last meeting. Still 2 properties Bob and I talked about this afternoon need to get secured. You're saying one, David?
Be one.
Okay.
It's 2 properties, the same guy.
Okay. So as soon as we get that done, we'll get a clear site certificate from you, and then we'll give it to Division of Water and work towards completing checklist a little bit on that. And then the water system improvements project, we're working on easements, working with the utility on getting some easements finalized. There's a handful there we need to get finalized. Got some additional ones that have come up, David, with some changes.
On power, we still plan on bidding in October?
I think it's probably going to be pushing more like November at this point, Mitch.
Okay.
Just due to the time lapse and how long it takes after you bid the project to get rural development and get all the paperwork. It can be up to 3 months after the bids are open. The miscellaneous water system improvements, we're moving along on that. We're working on the properties. In addition, booster pump station, we're still working on that property. We may even end up potentially moving that site. So Bob and his staff are working on that, and we'll be able to finalize design on that pump station and we can nail down the property. Any questions? Thank you.
New business, 8A, the delegate for the KFIWA annual conference.
Yeah, this is going to be a surprise to somebody sitting over in the corner of the room. but we have to have a delegate named for the World Water Annual Conference. I'm asking that I be named as our delegate and that Matt Spradlin be named as our alternate delegate.
Make the motion.
I'll second.
Have a motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. 8B, the Enterprise Fleet Management for new truck order.
Yeah, we're just asking for authorization to continue with the program as we have it in place, and that's going to entail ordering 2 vehicles this time instead of 3. It'll be for delivery probably just after the first of the year, the 2020 models.
I'll make the motion that we continue our leasing program with Enterprise for vehicles.
Motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, aye? Opposed? Ayes have it. How many will that leave us owning, Bob?
It is, Mr. Mayor.
How many will we still have that we own?
That would leave us owning 4, I believe. At the end of this fiscal year, we should own one pickup.
Eight C, the audit proposals.
We have 2 proposals for audit services. Maybe you want to do that?
Which one was that?
Actually got 2.
Yeah, we got 2.
They almost came about the same time, but we got that brought in first.
The first is from Wells and Company.
I'll let you check it for questions about it.
Our proposal for the auditing services is $21,000. Our rate for any auxiliary services will be $100 per hour. The second bid is from Jones and Associates CPAs PSC out of Lexington. Big old packet. Looks like the total proposed price from Jones and Associates is $25,000. And they provided looks like there's one for everybody. I can pass that around.
Make the motion, we accept the bid from Wells and Company for $21,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Nice that we did finally get a second bid. We've not had one for years. And they were fairly close.
8D, uniform proposal.
And we have I don't have anything in front of you, we kind of put this together today and we might get it done. We have a proposal from Centos. It comes in it looks like just under our budget amount, $24,000 and change on the budget. David has previously looked at their contract and was okay with it. I wanted to do that again, but we would like to move forward with Centos.
Make a motion that we accept the proposal from Centos for the uniforms.
I'll second.
Motion is second, all in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. 8E, the membrane replacement plan.
That's had a lot of chewing done on it. We have a proposal to replace the one remaining train that was not replaced for $156,000 and change. And they had proposed this 10-year replacement plan for 4 trains in membrane, which is a whole new set over 10 years. We can extend beyond 10 years if we need to. That came in at a total of $1.2 million. So we've been trying to work with the math on that. And one thing we found out, that once you get past the initial 10-year guaranteed period on this plant, the price essentially doubles on membrane. And as of Friday and Saturday, when I was working on these things, I was told, I think we just need to look at going ahead and buying a single train and start setting money aside for future replacements. You know, Matt was able to get a little additional information today regarding some additional parts they recommend replacing within that 10-year period. Kind of brings it back where it makes a little more sense. But we still need to get some more questions answered on this, and my request is you just table it for now. That $1.2 million over 10 years is kind of an eye-opening number for me. It was not what I was expecting. I don't think any of us were.
We can table it till right on.
No motions.
8F, Shoreline Utilities Protection Proposal.
Yeah, our Rural Water Management Conference back in February, Serviline had representatives there to present this. It's essentially an insurance program for the customer for leak protection. We have a program in place in our policy whereby if you have a leak, and based on your averages, like that leak was $100, we would split that with you, go 50-50. The proposal they have, it actually would be 100% coverage up to the policy limits. But the representatives are here, and I would ask you to make your proposal this time.
Do you want a little back? Should we do a little background on the program first?
Absolutely.
Okay. And I applaud you all. We were in Greensburg not a long time ago, and they had bottled water sitting around, so it's nice to see that you have your own water. And the mayor, you gave him a little hard time about that. He was good about it, though. Now that's an interesting thing, because the bottled water, I didn't know if you all knew that, but over 50% of the bottled water is not regulated. They don't measure it. They don't have to meet the standards you have.
No, much tougher standard.
Yeah. Well, while you're getting that information, we're not going to do the proposal first. So we'll give you a little background, and that's the presentation part. As we're going through this, just a little of your numbers that Bob was talking about. Over the last 3 years, you all had out-of-pocket costs of around 35, 1 year 40, I think the other, and then 90. And that's your part. So the total number that we're talking about that Bob alluded to would have been 140, I think, 80 and 70, 75. So.
And also, I think you're looking at pretty conservative numbers.
Correct. So the numbers can get large, and I think, and if you look back, I think 5 or 6 years, you have another high year and I think they were floods, right, Jamie? That was what it was. So the numbers can get large, and that's what we had to look at as we look at this program. The program, as Bob mentioned, is an insurance program, but it's kind of a service program, and it's a service program that we build around your existing program. And sort of where did it all start? We kind of got introduced to the problem, and so we went around the southeast and started looking at the issues and asking utilities like yourselves what they wanted, what they saw as a need, and out of that is how we developed this program. We can't take credit for sitting around thinking this out. We just listened, and I wish I was that bright, but I went to Moorhead, so you let me know. They let me in, let me out, so.
Be careful now.
No, I'm proud of that. Yeah.
Baltimore.
We're talking about that at admission, we're talking about getting admitted, and they said, how was yours? I said, I sat around admissions, they said, well, would you like to come? I said, you're gonna let me come? I said, then I'm in. And Ally's actually from Moorhead, and went to Moorhead as well, so. We're just up the road. If you look in, at this program, what happens on a leak? You get a call, someone has a leak, and it's a problem, and it's their big problem. And that becomes your big problem. And it's not just one call. It's many calls, and it's, you know, because they need their water. They may not appreciate it till they don't have it, but then it's an issue. So what this program tries to do is take that stress and all of that away from you all. We actually will take the phone calls, we'll answer it as your utility, like we're another department. You all may still get a call, but you can transfer it or have a recording that sends it to us, and it will take those calls. Now, by doing that, you don't have to address the problems. And that frees up time, it makes your day a little better. And I know, because we deal with this all over the country, that we're in over 30 states now, and it's been well received everywhere. So if you look at page 4, these charts, this shows you that many people aren't aware that they're even responsible until they have the leak. That's when they get their education. And then they might think that they have insurance to cover it or whatever, but long story short, they don't have it. The problem then becomes that the middle chart shows the bank rate study that over 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck and are not prepared for an emergency over $500 or more. Well, this is easy to not only get the leak to that point, but a break and fixing a line. I've had 2 of those. I know personally what it costs. So if they're not ready for it, then that becomes a problem. Where are they going to get the money? Now they go in debt, or they keep banging on you all to help them. And what we find around the country is you all do a nice job of helping them. And a lot of utilities do, most of them do. But what we hear repeatedly is, but they're still not happy, because they're still paying something they weren't planning on, and they didn't have the money, and here we are. So we're getting no benefit or credit for all the goodwill, and that's unfortunate. They don't appreciate it, but we understand it's a difficult situation. So we decided, when we looked at this, to put this program together, and we're backed by A-rated insurance companies. We've set the program up. National Rural Water Association is who we worked with to build this and finalize it, and we worked with each of the states. Kentucky Rural Water has approved and vetted this program and is now introducing it across the state. And I guess congratulations, you're now on the board there. That's a good group, and Gary's group is good. So we feel honored that, you know, that we've had that kind of reception and that kind of acceptance around the country. Now, Ally's, fortunately for you all, is going to start to address the program, but this is not a warranty program. I want to explain. Bob is correct saying it's an insurance-backed program, but it's kind of a service program because it's your program. Think of it as your program. All we're doing is sitting behind, providing the work and the support and the financials to pay for that. So now, whatever money you were paying out of pocket, you don't have to pay any money out of pocket. And this program doesn't charge you, the utility, anything. So all that, if nobody in the city signs up, you're thousands of dollars ahead. Because now you've issued a program that, you know, they can be a part of or not be part of, but regardless, you no longer have to reach in the pocket and pull that money out. Now you have money for other programs and other efforts to the tune of, I guess, you know, which year you look at it, between $35,000 and $90,000, depending on the year. So it's significant money.
Say that again, I'm not following you on that.
If we're paying the customer's bill and your bill, then the money that you were paying, you no longer have to pay.
But you said even if no customers sign up?
Yeah, she'll talk about that in a minute, but there's an option, they don't have to take it. If they don't want to pay for it, it's their responsibility. I mean, by law, they are responsible, right? So now they have the opportunity to say, I don't want to pay for the coverage. Okay, that's their choice. So if nobody wants it, you're money ahead because you offered it, they don't have to take it if they don't want it.
But you pay our loss, even though they didn't take the coverage?
Oh, no, at that point, I'm
We're
sorry,
We're
I'm
not
sorry.
doing that anymore, right?
But if we go with their program, our current policy would need to go away.
Yeah, we won't give them an adjustment.
So it's either 100% on the customer or they have
They
certain
don't get
line
any
to be paid.
We're giving them a choice is really what it amounts to. I'm sorry, I understand your question now. I apologize for being slow. I told you I was going to. All right, I'm going to let Ally talk about the details of the program for a minute.
Okay, so on the next page is kind of just a breakdown of what all we covered. So there are 3 components, page 7. So we have the leak adjustment portion, and then we also have water line protection and then sewer line protection. So I'm going to talk about the first part, which is the leak adjustment portion first. That way we don't get confused with the line protection. So that's on the next page, which is page 8. So basically you all would choose the limit that you all want. So we offer $500, $1,000, or $2,500. And then that range usually falls in between $1 to $2 a month for the customer. But in your all's proposal, I think it's like $1.60 to $1.25. I think it's $1.60 for the $500 limit. But basically how this would work is we create a number specific to your utility. We do try to use a local number if there is one available.
Phone number.
Yeah. So then the customer would simply just call that number, or you all can set up a phone tree system, press 7 for serve line. They would call us, say, hey, I have a leak. We ask them a few questions as far as, how did you know you had a leak? Have you gotten that taken care of? Then we would notify you all via email. We would work with you to figure out what the customer's average bill is. So let's say their average bill is like $50, but they get a bill for $500. The customer would then pay their average bill of $50, and then we would send you all a check of $450 for the leak. So you all would not be out any money versus you would have had to pay 50% with your current policy.
And the customer's not out any money.
No, yeah, they
Which
just
is
pay.
just as important.
And there is no deductible, they just simply pay the monthly premium. And so with this program, as he was saying, it is an opt-out program. So initially, everyone when this program is launched is enrolled into the program. And the reason for this being is that we had several utilities that we worked with up front. And this is something they were very adamant about, because your current leak adjustment policy, whether the customer wants to or not, is technically covered under that. So this way, every single customer is covered from the very beginning once it launches. Also, they have, because I know you can send out marketing materials, which we do provide, but you're going to miss some customers. Either they don't pay attention to it, or maybe they forget to enroll. So with this, everyone's covered from the beginning, and if they don't want to be enrolled in the program, it's not a big deal. They just call that phone number, say, hey, I'm so-and-so, and I don't want to be in this program. Not a problem. We work with you all, let you all know who opts out, and then they're out. They don't have to pay for the monthly premium, but they are responsible for 100% of the leak, should they have one.
And the people explain that on the phone. You're making a choice. This is the program. If you choose not to, then you are responsible. And that is recorded so that they don't later go out and say that.
Yeah. And then also, so in the packets, there is a flyer, it's a little brochure. That is what we would provide for you all, that you would send out to your customers, usually 2 months prior to the launching of the program, notifying them that it is coming. And from that point on, that phone number on there is live that we create for you all. So the customer can call, ask any questions that they might have. They can opt out of the program at that point, and they can also add the line coverage as well. And with the opting out, the customer can opt out at any point in time, You know, they may be like 6 months down the road and be like, I don't want this. It's no problem. They just simply make a phone call. We can let them out of the program. But they can also jump back into the program if they want to. We do have a 30-day waiting period. And that's just in case someone tries to, you know, play a game, of course, you know. Oh, I have a leak now.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so another thing that we also do to help protect the customers is that within the first 12 months after launching the program, let's say the customer, 10 months in, just now realizes CertOne is on their bill and they don't want to pay for this fee, we will reimburse the customer up to the first 12 months after launching the program, if they so choose not to be enrolled in it.
That's if they said, I didn't know I was on this, I didn't want this.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we don't want you to feel trapped, here, we'll give you your money back. That's not a problem. There's another thing about the reason that we signed this up this way, and the utilities told us this, that we talked to. They said, if you don't sign everybody up, and when we say sign everybody up, it's before the program starts. We do this 2 months, we send out the literature ahead of time with you all, with your bills, and so they get it, they see it. They have a choice to call in and check. They can decide to get out of it up to 2 months before the program starts. They, of course, can get out at any time, as Ally said. But during that time, if they decide to get out, we found out from them, they said, if you don't do it that way and don't record that they decided to get out, then if you ask them to call in and ask for the program and they don't do it, and they call back later when they have a leak and say, oh no, I sent you that paperwork, you must have lost it. How do we prove that? We have no way to do that. Then, so this way, everybody's still happy, and to prove that, this is the shocker of this. Across the country, the average participation for the program on the leaks is 97%. That's to begin with. Now, as Ally said, you can get out of the program at any time. So we thought that over time, people would drop out. It's the opposite. The longest utilities are in here are almost at 100% because they realize for $1 or $2, I've got nothing to lose. That cost is what is attractive to them. And so the older utilities literally are almost at 100%. It's been so well received, and it's a tight-knit community. If there was a problem, you would hear about it. And all the utilities can get out. You don't sign any contract. You could get out. All utilities are in. So it has been very well received, and we're happy about that. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. So that basically summarizes the leak protection portion.
Any questions on that before we go forward?
Good.
Okay.
All right. So on this next page, so page 9, this is just kind of a brief overview of what all we provide for you all. So we do handle all of the customer service as well as the claims. We also provide you all with the marketing materials or education materials that you would send out to your customers. And then we also will assist with notifying you all, of course, when a customer files a claim or if they get in the program, out of the program. We do work with you all pretty frequently to keep you in the loop with what's going on.
Yeah, we handle all the risk, all the financials, and that's ours to bear.
Yep.
This is for residential customers only,
Residential and commercial.
but both?
Mm-hmm.
They're different rates than.
Yes. So with your alls though.
Not on this, not on yours.
Where yours was like.
You all are special.
So your all's data was bulk data, so we usually break it down residential, commercial leaks. Not a problem. So your all's is residential and the commercial single occupancy is one rate, and then the commercial multiple occupancy is another rate. But eventually, with time, if you do launch this program and we get some leak history, that could affect the rates some, of course.
Know this, too. A question that comes up a lot is, well, okay, how long is the rate good for? Well, in all fairness, it's good for a year. Could it be raised after a year? Which everybody thinks, oh yeah, it'll be raised. Never been an increase. Doesn't mean it can't. We have to be honest about saying it could happen, but we've never had an increase. We've had 3 decreases. And in your case, let's say there's not another flood. Your rate will come down. So yours actually is one of the ones we will watch closely to see if we can't lower that rate. We've had some, actually low, but none that were raised. So, and by getting your data, it helps us establish a long-term rate as opposed to a very volatile rate.
I did forget to mention on the leak adjustment, when you all choose a limit, whether it's 500, 1,000, or 2,500, that limit is for all of your customers. So one limit, and they would all pay whatever the price is for that limit.
And that's up to you all. We find that in a lot of cities, majority, and probably up to 90% of the leaks are probably around 500 or less.
Mm-hmm.
So we're fine with whatever you choose, but you're probably covering most of the people at 500. I don't know that for sure, but I think that's right.
Most do. All right, so then go ahead and talk about the line protection, which is a few pages. I go to page 13. So this is for both water and sewer lines, and you all do have both of those. Again, this is at no additional cost to the utility. There is no deductible. They do pay a monthly premium. But this program is a little different from the leak adjustment in that this is an opt-in program. So if a customer does want this, they would have to call us and say, hey, I would like to add this, and we won't add it to their bill. But how this would work is there's no set number to the amount of claims a customer can make in a year, whereas the leak adjustment is one claim every 12 months. And then each claim is, the limit for that is up to $10,000. And so water line and sewer line costs would be a little different, but the water is usually about $3 to $5. I think yours is close to $5. And then the sewer is $5 to $7 usually on average per month for the customer. And kind of how this would work is if a customer has a line that breaks, they can call a contractor, a plumber, whoever they want to come fix it, or they can fix it themselves. But they would call, file a claim. We may ask for like an invoice to see that they've gotten the part to repair it or replace it, or maybe an invoice from like a plumber, someone who fixed it. And then we would send, once that claim is approved, we would send a check directly to the customer to reimburse for their cost on that.
Now, I can attest to this one because I've had 2 leaks in the last 2 years outside the house. And let me clarify what I'm saying. The water leak itself is protected from the meter throughout the house. So it's not just the line that leaks. It could be a toilet or a faucet, anything. So anything throughout the house from the meter forward. The line repair is from the foundation to the property line.
Okay, just in ground.
Yeah. And that's because a lot of homeowners, that was another thing. We've really scrubbed through this. The homeowners sometimes covers house. We didn't want the customer to pay twice for something that they're only going to get one on. So we try to do everything possible to keep the cost down to the bare minimum. And it works exactly like Alex said. When I called in, I didn't tell them I was associate program. I called in and, it worked that way. They were very good about taking the information. They were very good about getting it taken care of right away. I got a check within 7 days. It worked that way twice. So I at least have 2 that I can account for sure. But the customers, I will tell you, the customers around the country, that we get stories time and time again how they said, there's a guy up in Brent Bowling, up in just across the river in Ohio, and he's in Gallia, Ohio. He says, I bought into the program right up front because financially it made sense, everything else. But he said, if I would have really understood the customer relation improvement, he says, I'm not having to shut off water, I'm not having to argue with the customers. I got none of that. The customers are actually happy about us right now. And he says, I would have never dreamed that could be. So we get that story time and time again. So it's been very effective.
Yeah, and with the phone calls too, like if a customer calls and has any kind of issue with a leak or their line or something, just go ahead and be like, hang on, let me transfer you to our Serve Line program. Just transfer them right over. You don't have to deal with answering their questions or anything. We can handle all of that for you.
Here's another statistic that that I think is valuable. If you do this program, of course, the leak program policy will have to be a little modified because now we're covering more and that has to be addressed. But if around the country, throughout the program history, if a customer has had a leak that met the guidelines of the policy, 100% have been paid. There's not an argument, there's not an issue. Now, that doesn't say somebody, called because their pool got filled up and tried to slide. But even some of those got paid because we don't send somebody out. I mean, if somebody's going to play a game, yeah, they probably get away with it for a while.
They're good at that.
So.
Anyway, but back to the line protection. So one last thing I do want to go over is on page 14. And so this is a comparison chart of a few different warranty programs in our program. So as you can see, we cover a lot more than most warranty programs do. But there's one thing I do specifically want to point out, and that is about halfway down, defective or recalled materials. Most warranty programs do not cover that. This is for the line repair, of course. But we do. So we don't, most customers aren't going to necessarily know what kind of pipe they have in the ground until, they have to fix it or replace it. But this is also another thing, the utilities up front, we're very adamant about, to help, again, protecting the customer.
See that, adamant, that's a big word for me.
Can bring some books. But yeah, they really wanted this to be something that we did cover because, again, protecting the customer as far as, why pay for this if it's not going to work for you, of course, if you have a defective or recalled material. But that is something, so basically we cover more than a lot of warranty programs do.
And the reason we only show the line comparison is because warranties are not legally allowed to offer water.
What's this on the coverage of light on the water bill for the line breakage?
Where are you, I'm sorry?
Page 14, about midway down, fifth line down.
So coverage is like, let's look at the table.
Oh, yeah. We continue to cover it even if the customer hasn't paid his bill until you tell us to stop. So if you have a habitual late payer, they're not cut off the program unless you tell us to cut off. Does that make sense? We don't control it, you all control it. That's the other thing the program gets into too. That there's so many savings, it's hard to go through them all, but one of them is you're not having to put together payment plans, you're not having to deal with bad debt, all that goes away. And those costs aren't embedded in here. That's sort of, it's there, it's real, it's hard to put a number sometimes to that. Any questions on the whole program? I know we're not that good.
Is your phone system bilingual and do they put you on hold and say, call back later?
No,
We're gonna get into that?
Depending on which company they're with, it would be Georgia, correct?
It's all, there's nobody out of the country
Yeah, it's all
that you
based-
talk to, and no, that's all English speaking. Yeah, we're very careful of that. I don't know how to politically correctly say that, but I want to understand who I'm talking to, I guess. I'm not sure if that's correct or not, but that's what I feel.
Do y'all have the proposed language that we would need to, so we can take a look at that in terms of how we would need to modify our current policy?
Yeah, there's actually an example in here of the protection policy. It's in the
proposal.
Yeah. I don't know exactly what page it's on. Do you have it? Oh, sorry. I think you're flipping through. It's on page 5. So we kind of have it already written out for you all, but you can modify it.
Yeah, we can adjust it if need be, but that's the normal approach to begin with.
One question I had, I noticed, because I always have to read the disclaimers, it said the proposal in no way changes or affects any terms, conditions, or excluded policies actually issued. Do you all have a specimen policy or sample policy you can provide us to take a look at?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, I don't have it with me, but we would send
I
that to you.
could email it to you. Yeah.
I guess on page 7 is the actual cost breakdown. You probably all have seen that already, I guess. It shows the breakdown between 500, 1,000, or 2,500. And as Ally said, we did combine residential and commercial because there was no way to break it out. And I indicated to you already that we'll watch that. The numbers a little, we had to be careful because you all during leak you cover it differently. I'm sorry, during flood you cover the leak differently than non-flood. So we had to break that out. So that was helpful. You all are helpful in walking us through that. So we've got that. We've really been careful to try and get the rate correct. But if there's no floods in the future, I think we can do something even lower eventually.
So the leak protection program does not cover commercial?
No, it does. Yeah.
That's a standard one. It's not the one that would be
Yeah.
yours, because yours is a unique one. It covers both commercial and residential. And by the way, we cover commercial. It's usually a different rate.
Well, the sample leak protection program that's in there says it does not cover commercial or industrial customers.
Right, and that won't be in yours.
That's just
I'm just saying that's a standard one that goes in every proposal.
Yeah.
Yours, it is covered, so I'm sorry that it says that, but they just put the standard one in there. And then the line protection, of course, the sewer. Yeah, you got water, and then you have sewer, and then I guess on page 9, you have the line coverage. Some of the people have gotten into the program and they say, well, I have nothing to lose. If it doesn't work, we get out. I mean, it's not an issue. But the benefit is you can call anyone in the country on the program. We just launched one in Bloomington, Illinois. 30,000 people. And it's funny, some people think, oh, the bigger ones can do their own. They went through it. I mean, it was like lawyers and everybody else went through this thing very, very detailed. And it was good because they posed things we hadn't thought of, but they were so happy with it. And I mean, in fact, when it launched, I think their sign-up rate is around 98%. I mean, they've almost nobody kicked out of that program. So it's, any other questions?
So, yeah, I live in a townhouse right here in the city of Paintsville, and it has 7 or 8 townhouses that are all attached. So is that considered residential, commercial, single occupancy, or is that considered commercial multi-occupancy?
So the standard is, the easiest way to look at it initially is, these rates apply to single meter. So if you have a single meter going to your home, then it's covered. If it's multiple, then it's a different rate. I think it's breaking through.
So I mean, each townhouse has their own water meter.
Then you're good.
Yeah, it'd be residential.
So it'd be the residential.
Well, it wouldn't matter in your case, right?
Well, no, but I'm just saying that it would be considered residential
Yeah.
versus a commercial.
Yeah, anywhere in the country that would be residential.
Yeah.
So if we add all the numbers up, all the down through the pages, what would we say for option 1 would be on both, for everything?
Again, somebody doesn't have to sign up for all of them, but if they did, I don't know, what are you?
Option 1 would be $1.60.
$1.60,
and
$1.97 if they wanted sewer.
That's $3.95.
$19.20 a year.
And then $4.95
a year.
And then the sewer is $6.50.
That's what I was going to say. So it's an average of about $27?
That's high, that's the 225, if you just times it by 12, it's 27 a year. The low is 19.20 a year.
That's just for water.
That's just water.
And we did do, sometimes we do offer water and sewer rates combined, but you all have way more water customers than sewer, so that wouldn't really be fair.
Yeah, the sewer only applies to about 900 customers, I think. So the majority, Alex said, I think.
It's a bigger number than that.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
But it's not as much as their water
Not nowhere
accounts.
near.
Yeah.
But less than 20%.
And the customer, if they have water and sewer, you know, if they don't want the sewer protection, they don't have to have that either. They could just have the water protection and vice versa.
For those.
So,
Do we have plans for sewer leaks?
Yeah, if they,
If they have a
now,
water
but
leak and have sewer.
explain what your sewer leak protection covers.
Okay, so, but let me make sure I've got yours. So if they have a leak,
A water leak.
you relieve the sewer
We
portion
do
as
water
well.
and sewer
Right.
and water leak. in town.
So if a person has a leak, then both the water and the sewer are covered. If they have both.
Right.
So again, when you say add the numbers up, the majority of them would have the sewer in that number anyway, because they don't, most people don't have sewer. But it would cover both in the case of a water and sewer together.
So if they don't have sewer, then the only thing they would have to pay would be the $1.60. They don't have to pay.
Right,
For both.
right. And
or they don't have to pay for either. I mean, just
that's true, they don't have to pay either.
But most average leaks are well above $60 to $80.
Okay.
That would be a low number for a leak.
So if their sewer line collapses, if the option is for that $1.97, that's covered.
No, I'm sorry,
Oh,
that's
no,
on, that's on
that's
page
for the
Not
9.
covered.
like their line.
The water line protection is on the
The
next.
sewer line is $6.50 on page 9. But the answer is yes, it's covered. In fact, on the water line and the sewer line, they can get it replaced or repaired unlimited number of times in a year, up to $10,000.
But that's optional coverage over the optic.
Yes,
That's
That's
it
if they decide to pick it up.
Yeah, they just make a phone call.
So this one's just a picture bill.
Question again.
Uh-huh.
So I have water and sewage both. So I had a water leak. Didn't realize the leak ran automatically in the city of Paintsville. If I have a water leak, sewer rate goes up too, because it runs across the line, says, if you use this much water, you pay this much sewage.
Right.
Are you saying that I would pay $160, on the $500 rate, I'd pay $160 a month and $197 a month?
Yes, sir.
So it'd be,
$3.95.
yeah.
You'd get an adjustment both on your water and your sewer bill.
Correct.
It both
And
be
what do
covered.
we currently do?
It's the same on both. We share the cost on both of them. Correct.
This way you would only be out, you would pay your minimum bill. Whatever your minimum has been over the years, that's what you would pay. They would pay, if you have this protection, they would pay Paintsville Utilities the rest of your leak. We wouldn't be doing an adjustment and say you pay half of your leak and then we need your cost on the other half.
We don't have a sewer leak policy per se now,
No, it's just related to water.
just related to water. So really, option 2, we don't currently offer any relief for sewer leaks because we don't.
Not a sewer leak.
No.
So this is actually sewer leak protection. We don't.
Pertaining to
No,
water.
actually, the sewer leak protection still just relates to the water leak.
Correct.
In terms of
The reason, let me try it a different way. The reason we have it separated is I don't know what the number is, but whatever the number of people that have a sewer, they have coverage for both the water that would go down the sewer as well as the water coming in. It's not fair to the majority of people that only have water to pay for the double rate. So we separated those. Is that, am I not clear?
The terminology is a little
the
confusing.
terminology,
And I'm sorry.
It's really not a sewer leak. You're
Right.
just getting benefit.
That's a
of
good
the
point.
Payment on the sewer part of it if you have a water leak.
Yeah.
So it's all incorporated into one issue.
And that's a University of Georgia guy that put that together, so. I don't know what to tell you. But that's a good point. I mean, what would be a better way to say that, now that we brought it up?
We have to work on that one.
I'm not sure. But I see your point.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we understand what it is.
Yeah.
Sewer bill,
Yeah.
something like that.
So we need to choose, we would choose as a utility whether we're going to do option 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
Correct.
And that'd be for every customer.
Okay.
Yeah.
again, I would lean on Bob and Janie as to, you know, where the majority of people lie. I mean, you pick your coverage, but
You have a few that might hit. I mean, we have one right now that's probably in the $2,500 range on a week. But
do you want everybody to pay to cover?
exactly.
That's the
I mean,
choice,
you
I
don't
guess.
have, and you
We
don't
don't
have a
care.
whole lot that hits 1,000. But the $500 one is.
Yeah, most utilities are close to
That's
about
like when we
89% are in that $500 range.
Now,
That's a little faster.
That's enough.
now I will add this, and I,
But you got the-
it's really up to you all, and I don't know the thought process, but some utilities will add some money on top. And they do that saying, well, if we have any administrative costs or whatever, so they might add. But it's a decision. We don't care. All we can give you is, here's our number. It doesn't affect us one way or the other. So, all I know is that that rate is then a clear pass-through, and you benefit. I mean, you, the customer, everybody benefits.
And then we also do, again, it's completely optional what you all want to do. There's, some people do incorporate it into their rate structure, and then we can offer a 10% discount if you all did that. But that's,
Covers everybody.
yeah, that's
That
only.
doesn't give option. That doesn't give an option, which, what concerns?
On your sewer lateral protection there, if you've got a $500 deductible, at most lines that I've seen replaced is a lot more than that.
Wait a minute, on
I think you
what?
can get a sewer line replaced for $500.
That-
What are you?
Reseeded
On the
and
lateral.
reseeded and all that stuff.
Oh, you're talking about,
Yeah,
If you got
it's
a
the
sewer- If you got
reseeding.
to replace a sewer line,
It's this, it's the
somebody,
reseeding.
a sewer line has collapsed or something, there's a lot of old, I don't know what the pipe is called, clay pipe, yeah. There's a lot
no,
of-
that's only for the reseeding. It's
Yeah.
$10,000
For the
coverage.
actual line part.
You have complete coverage up to $10,000 per incident. I'm sorry, that's misleading, I'm sorry, it's $500 was just for the landscaping,
And for the pictures.
and then another $500 for the paved. So for instance, if it went into your driveway, they pay $500 to fix the driveway.
But there's no deductible at all.
No. No deductible. And I gotta tell you, I got two boys that apparently don't realize there's a, on the auto, that there's a brake pedal, because we've had to pay those deductibles a few times. The reason I bring that up is that the statisticians have looked at this. The incident rate of an accident with a collision on the car is the same incident rate as a leak. Now, you can look at your own insurance bills and figure out what you're paying for that same coverage, and it's not $1.60 or $5. That's the reason we do that. We spread that risk over the whole country, so we can keep those bills low, but it's the same risk. So,
Do we collect this, or how does that work?
yes, everything goes through you all because it's your program. We're not trying to get recognition. This is, National World Water made a big point of that. They said, we want to improve and continue to build the relationship with the utilities, with the customers. So the customers got to look to the utility as their program, and they're giving them the benefit.
Yeah, it would be kind of marketed as Paintsville Utilities Certified Program. And then as far as like the revenue collecting the premiums, you all would collect that first, and then at the end of the month, we would probably work with Janie, I would assume. We have someone, like a monthly report, just comparing numbers, making sure the same amount of people in the program, that kind of thing, and then you would send us a check for the premium. So you're never out of money, you collect it first, and then
It's in some arrears.
So if somebody opts in and opts out, then every month we may have work at the office down there in terms of taking people's names off, in terms of taking this off. and
Not
adding it.
much.
There will be some,
yeah.
way around it.
We've seen, all I know is that every administrator comes back and says, this is such a relief, we don't have all that work, we don't have the calls, we don't have, There's a little bit, yes, but that's just to make sure that we are on the same page.
So let's work through this. All right, y'all send it out. They've got 2 months to opt out.
Correct.
If everybody just kind of ignores that, then the first after that 2 months is over, then we send them a bill and we automatically incorporate this, for instance, $1.60 into their bill.
Correct.
And that'll be on their bill until such time as they call you and opt out.
Correct.
Okay.
The reason for that is just for the recording of phone calls, so that we always have a record of who's in, who's out. There's no question with it.
You can even go on social media. Go on social media and look at complaints against utilities around the country. And unfortunately, you always hear from, you never hear the good stories, unfortunately. But you know what you see around the country? They're so happy with the Serve-Line program. It's remarkable, but because people recognize they got the benefit. They don't understand pumps and pipe, but they understand that they got coverage from something that would happen to them, and it works. But you're exactly right, that's in a nutshell. And we probably could have done it easier if we'd have just had you do it.
How many leak claims do we have every year? Get the number.
We've had probably, I want to say 16 today.
16 today?
Just keep them out, the bills just.
Bills just went out, so they just got the bills. So this will go on up until the 15th. We even have a lot of customers who don't even come in until it's the 25th, ready to, but.
How many actual adjustments do we make a month?
Dollar-wise
No,
or
number
customer-wise?
adjustments.
I would say you may be looking at 150, maybe more.
I thought we had that many a month.
That's just water.
I thought we had that many a year.
Yeah, I mean, there's, like I said, today we probably had 16 that I know of.
There's so many leaky toilets out there.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
We're at a
Some
board
of them may
meeting.
not be major leaks, you know, like I said, we had one I know right now that's just got a bill for $2,500. But,
You have a lot of people will take their leak adjustment, even though you recommend that they not.
you know, some of them will have, you know, they may only get $30 off, but they'll still take it, knowing that, you know, if in the next 12 months, if they have a major leak, then we can't do anything.
We can also, depending on how you all want to do this for the leak policy, you can add qualifiers. So like it must be like 2 times their average bill before they could file a claim, if you wanted to do that.
Had a thought. The problem with getting older, it's, I can't remember what it was.
You were in a board meeting?
Yes, I was in a board meeting, a guy put it in perspective. One of the members asked the general manager, said, how many, percentage-wise, how many leaks a year do we have? And he said, well, about 10%. He goes, 10%'s not that much. He says, you don't understand, that's 10% of our population doesn't like us. And in 5 years, that's half our population. I hadn't thought of it that way, but people remember that. And unfortunately, that's what they communicate. This changed that in many, in all these communities. The nice thing is we can say that because you can call anybody and find out. We had one early on, and the lady came in and wanted an adjustment. She said to the board member, and he says, the chairman says, well, what do you have? He says, well, I've got $1,500. In 1 month, she goes, no, it was $700 and then it's $800. So how'd that happen? Well, I gave it to my husband the first month and he paid it. I told him I thought that was high, and I gave it to the second, and my husband paid it. And this is in Ocoee, Tennessee. And she goes, yeah, I just need some help. And the chairman says, well, what's your normal bill? She said, $50. $50, what was your, why didn't you do something? I told my husband, but he paid the bill. He says, well, what are you going to do if we help you? She could tell she hadn't thought of that one. She goes, maybe get a new husband? That was her answer. So, I'm not saying that's the answer, but that was hers. Any concerns? Any concerns that bother you about the program? that's all we have. Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks for
all.
your time,
Y'all have a good
appreciate it.
evening.
See you all later.
I'd like to look at that.
That's what I said, it said Mitch, I said, are you gonna pay what?
I got a question. Since how I'm a customer. Is that a little high?
No, I think we'll just have to do some more research and wait till we actually get the policy and try to understand what other utilities are charging their customers around the country. Because this is a new proposal, we don't have enough information to move forward at this time. So when we get some more information, I'm one of those customers too, so I promise I'll keep you informed.
Make a motion to table until further review.
Yeah, I'll second.
All in favor, aye? Vote.
And aside, just an aside to that, I know that there's several people that come to the city council and they're talking about having to pay out the wazoo for a leak, water leak, and that, you know, they have to pay $800 and it was $1,600 and some odd dollars. And I can see where this would be beneficial, but
That $1.60 just covers up to $500.
And that just covers the water side.
Just water.
Yeah, that's,
Right.
now, as we all know, the sewer is a little higher than the water rate.
and is the line gas, is the gas line, is that included in it?
No, it's just water and sewer.
Just water and sewer?
That's a level animal there.
Well, actually, if you signed up for this, you'd actually get 500 of your water bill and 500 of your sewer. Because you're paying a separate premium.
Exactly.
Yeah, $4, $3.95 a month.
Yeah.
You get both of them.
So you could get up to 1,000 between the two.
If you went with 500 coverage.
Yeah.
But then you go over a big map there for the lines, after the lines, it gets up pretty high. You know, you gotta,
Yeah, they're gonna ask for that coverage. So.
Yeah. That's off, they have to.
you gotta join them in that one, don't you?
Yeah.
All right, so we tabled that, we'll move to 8G, Bob, have you, this other new business?
Yes, that's the renewal of the C.I. Thornburg Citco, their clean water program, where they help us with maintaining our inventory, they provide electronic equipment. We just agreed to purchase the majority of our product from them, let they supply the equipment. An example of the service you get for that, it automatically generates orders based on our stock levels. For this first day of the fiscal year, we already have our inventory total. Well, it takes some time to add all that up. We just like Commissioner to do it. It's at no cost, like to renew.
Make a motion that we accept their renewal.
I'll second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Aye. Vote, ayes have it.
And another benefit too, they provide us with continued education up to 12 hours per year.
9, executive session.
Do need to have executive session for personnel and potential litigation.
I'll make a motion to move into executive session.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, aye. Vote, ayes have it.
You guys ready?
Wait for Jane. You get Jane.
Do what? He's gonna start it.
Ready over there?
So do we have a motion to come out of executive session?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, aye.
To report, the commission addressed and considered 3 matters involving personnel. Those remain confidential pending notification of the individuals affected. And the commission gave Bob and I directives on how to handle 1 matter involving potential litigation. No other action was taken.
We have a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Favor? No.